So, you know what, Tez? I think it's more than fair to say you're one of the best comedians in the country right now. You know, I've watched.
That is very, very kind.
I've watched you stand up. You know, I loved your Man Like Mobeen, Man Like Mobeen, the Tez O'Clock Show. I watched Man Like Mobeen back to back. I had a really bad virus at the beginning of the year, and that was my only joy. You know, so I couldn't move. I was that ill. So how are you doing, brother? How's the lockdown for you?
I'm alright, man, but I'm glad that my work, sparks joy in people and stuff. That's very nice to hear. But I'm good, man. I've been at home for the last 2 months. Barely left the house. Been in a couple of walks.
Yeah.
Been grocery shopping a couple of times. But other than that, man, I've been pretty much locked down, and I've quite enjoyed it, man. It's not. It's nice because I've spent so much time on the road, but it's nice to actually just being able to stop for a little bit and being able to spend so much time with my mum and my family and just take stock of stuff. And Ramadan's been nice being at home as well, because usually I'm on the road for that a lot of the time as well, and sometimes I'm actually breaking my fast on stage. So to be at home for all those things, there's actually, in all the horribleness, has been a small blessing.
Yeah, I can imagine fasting whilst you're working's hard.
Yeah, I mean, it's a weird one, because I generally, when I'm fasting, prefer to be busy, so the day goes quicker. But then the flip side of that is it's just nice being at home and being around family and stuff. And sometimes when you're on the road, you're not around people who are also fasting, and so sometimes that can take its toll because you haven't got anyone around you who's understanding what you're going through. So
yeah,
so there's pros and cons to both, but it's definitely been nice to be at home for a change, because I remember one Ramadan, it was during the Edinburgh Fringe Festival. I spent the whole of it away from home, and that was the hardest one. But no, man, it's been all right, man. It's been okay. I've been coping.
Yeah, what you've been doing to keep busy? I've been, there's only so much you can do, isn't there? But have you been working on anything, writing anything?
Yeah, man, I've got a couple of things that kept me busy, a couple of projects, a lot of Zoom chats, a lot of couple of comedy gigs online, which ain't the same thing. That's methadone to heroin, but it's kept it going a little bit. But no, I've had a couple of nice projects come through that I haven't announced yet, but I'm going to be writing a book soon.
Yeah.
So that's been really good. So I'm starting to plan that, and that's going to keep me busy through the summer. So that's going to, and it'd be good, like, if the lockdown doesn't get lifted as early as we'd like, then at least I've got something to keep me busy. So, personally speaking, work's been ticking along, which has been nice. Because I thought, well, when that first day happened of lockdown, I was looking at the universal credit, benefits, everything. I was like, what do I qualify for?
No, you wasn't.
Fully panicking, bro. And then I was like, oh, actually, work's coming in, so it's been alright. Because us self-employed people, well, we don't qualify for any of the support really. So I've had to rely on bits of work coming in.
Yeah, it's like I had so I run a small security company. It is very small, got a few doors and restaurants, but it was going well at the start of the year. January it was really good. Picked up a few bars, a few vegan restaurants, a restaurant that's opening not far from where I live, and obviously it's all just come to a halt, and it's like, ugh.
Yeah, just as you were getting it going.
Yeah, it's just like, you're so up and ready and motivated. You know how it always is at the start of the year as well. And then you're just like, oh, no. But yeah, I'm just trying to keep busy doing a little bit of weights. I think I've completed Netflix. Completed it all.
That's kept. What have you watched that you've enjoyed?
I like Ricky Gervais's new Afterlife.
Oh yeah, I haven't had a chance to catch that yet, but I hear good things.
Yeah, definitely, mate. It's really good. I've heard a few bad reviews, just saying it's like a mimic of the last series, but I don't know. I'm a Ricky Gervais fan, so I could just watch him anyway.
Yeah, fair enough. I've not had a chance to watch it, so I can't give you my opinion on it. But no, I probably will do at some point, because he's good. He is good.
Yeah.
I can recommend Brassic. On Sky, that's brilliant. It's set up in Yorkshire, Lancashire. It's set up in it's meant to be like Chorley basically, which is where Joe Gagan's from, who's a star in it. And that's brilliant, man. And the Gangs of London I really enjoyed.
Yeah, I've heard a lot about that.
Yeah, it's not for the squeamish, but if you like action and you like, it's the same guy who made The Raid, those Indonesian martial arts films. So he's come home and and made this, and it's brilliant, man. It's
Yeah.
like nothing like it on TV.
Yeah, I like. Is it set? It's a period piece, isn't it? The Gangs of London.
No, it's set now. It's set here.
Oh, is it?
2020. Yeah.
Oh, is it?
Yeah.
Yeah. Oh, I thought it was like an old time thing.
That's Peaky Blinders, isn't it?
Yeah. I've not. That's one I haven't watched. I've not watched
Oh,
that.
that's worth watching as well, man. There's so many. You know what? It's a golden age of television, isn't it? So like to be under lockdown in these circumstances, like imagine it was like '92 or something.
Yeah.
you got
Nothing.
4 barely working channels.
You would have to read magazines or a book. You would have to. But yeah,
There's no internet. There's no FaceTime. There's no mobile phones. There's no Netflix. It's just your 4 channels, your books that you've got in the house, and your imagination.
Yeah. Have you not watched Afterlife Series 1? Just going back to that.
No, I haven't seen it yet.
No. Yeah, I definitely recommend that. I keep meaning to check out Peaky Blinders, but I'm halfway through Vikings. If you've seen that.
No, I've heard that's on Amazon Prime, isn't it? I've heard good things about that.
Yeah. But just going back to Man Like Mobeen, why did they kill Adolf? Why did he have to die?
Well, this is the thing, bro. A lot of people are very upset about it because for a lot of people, he's their favourite character. You know, he's the comic relief in what is already a funny show. He provides that topper of extra comic relief, and it's really fun playing him as well. But what Gus, who created and writes the show, what he wanted to show was, look, if you lead a certain lifestyle, a criminal lifestyle, as Mobeen was getting sucked into, it's often the people around you that get hurt.
Yeah.
And in that case, it was who was more innocent than 8? No one. So the fact that 8 got hurt has a massive impact on his life, on Mobeen's life, on Nate's life, on Axel's life, as well as the viewers who are watching it going, oh, wow. And you know, there are a lot of people who are kind of involved in that sort of activity who are fans of Gus and who are fans of Man, who are fans of Man Like Mobeen. And you can just make even one of them stop and reflect and think, rah, if I carry on doing this, it might not be me that gets hurt, it might be people around me who don't deserve it.
Yeah, when you think of it like that, so there is a little message in there, isn't there?
Yeah. I mean, just this week, 2-3 days ago, a young lass, completely innocent, got murdered in Blackburn. I don't know if you've heard the news, but she just this 19-year-old kid. She was just minding her own business, and she just happened to be in the wrong place at the wrong time. And some guy tried to lick some shots off at like a rival business. They have some like rival gang business thing.
Yeah.
Not gang, like this rival businesses like warring, beefing with each other, and they were like, one of them had hired like some shooters to come past and just like pop some shots off at the window of the shop, not to hurt anyone, but to scare them. And just this poor girl just happened to be walking along at the wrong time and got hit, man, and she died. And you just think like it's just scary, man. Because
that's horrible.
But the best art reflects reality, right? Like this is the reality of certain communities and certain people's lives. So we didn't want to shy away from that. As sad as it is.
Yeah, but that story is horrible. I think I've heard. Was that in the Manchester Evening News?
It would have been, yeah. It happened here in Blackburn. It happened like 5 minutes from a drive from where I live.
Yeah, that's bad.
It would have been. I think it was national news. They would have been all over. Because it would have been in Northwest News and Manchester News and all that sort of stuff. So yeah, man, just a horrible story. Like they were refugees as well. They'd come over here because they were escaping war, trying to live a better life, and then this has happened. It just doesn't bear thinking, man.
No, that's horrendous. That is bad, mate. Yeah, so just going back to the bit you were saying about your book, what's that about? Can you say too much, or?
Not too much, but it's autobiographical about my teenage years, basically. So just going like a lot of fun stories. A couple of things happened that weren't so fun, and then talking about those, and then giving people a slice of 90s Blackburn life, man. What it was like living up north, what it was like being a young British Asian lad, what it was like being a young British Muslim lad, what it was like being a young lad as well around that time. You know, we had Euro 96 and World Cup 98, and there were things happening in my personal life. Like it just snapshot of that time in our lives. So it should be really fun to write. I'm looking forward to it.
Yeah, I imagine it was pretty tough growing up as like a Muslim back in them times. You know, well it still is, I suppose. You know, you got people like Tommy Robinson and Britain First, and you know, spouting all that shit. But do you know what I mean?
For a while there, in the mid to late 90s, it was all right. It wasn't too bad. And also, I live in an area that's like that's got quite a big Asian population. So we were kind of, as kids, we were kind of sheltered from it a little bit.
Yeah.
And then when 9/11 happened, and then 7/7 happened, then yeah, things changed quite a lot, actually, quite dramatically.
Yeah, I always say that.
Yeah, and I feel sorry for my nieces and nephews who that's the life no one didn't know a life before. They're the post 9/11 kids. They didn't know a life before that, so they've just lived their life with the Tommy Robinsons and Katie Hopkins and all that being a constant presence. Whereas I remember a time before that when people just like, there might be racist and stuff, but it wasn't like they wasn't necessarily into our religion. So yeah, no, I think things have changed quite a lot since I was a kid. Not necessarily, obviously in some ways things have got a lot better, and in other things I feel like we've made some backward steps.
Yeah, I remember. I always say what you just said, mate. Before 9/11, maybe I was like 10, 11, so maybe I wouldn't have noticed it. But I remember before 9/11, I can never really remember anything being said about Muslims, or there was no scaremongering or no hate. But I remember when 9/11 happened, and I was like, I must have been a victim of that, scaremongering. I was like that. Obviously, I was 11 as well, and I was, but yeah. And then the 7/7 thing, and it all just, what you're gonna hate one person because you're gonna hate every other Muslim because of a group of 5, 10. It's mental.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, the whole thing is just extremists fighting extremists, isn't it? It's people who, it's all politics. It's people who are not happy about war lashing out, and then people who are as happy they got lashed out against lashing out again. So it's just horrible, man. It's a horrible situation, and then politics, unfortunately, ends up creeping into really people's lives, and then people end up hating each other. It's just, sad, man.
Yeah, but the bottom line is the people that are these extremists, whether they're Muslim, Christian, Catholic, Sikh, the bottom line is before politics, religion, they're psychos. Yeah.
Yeah, because normal people don't behave like that, man.
No, it's a good job as well. But you got, whoever shouts the loudest gets heard. Katie Hopkins, Piers Morgan, Tommy Robinson. What's the guy called from Britain? Golden something.
Oh yeah, Paul Golding and Jada Franson.
Oh yeah. There's a woman involved now as well. Yeah.
Yeah. And then you got all of that Abu Hamza and all those cats as well on the other side who are just.
Yeah, Chowdhury.
I mean, if the guy's got a hook for his hand, then it's probably a bit of a baddie, isn't he?
Yeah, and Anjem Chowdhury.
Yeah, he's the worst. He's the worst, man. The amount of news coverage they gave him, just they made him on every hand like he was some sort of representative, and then he'd start off the most horrific nonsense, and then people are like, "Oh, that's Muslims," and they're like, "Nah, that's this prick in it." But the amount of damage that was caused by those people is just unbearable.
Yeah. You know what's mad though? You know how mental he is and evil Anjem Chowdhury is and everything he stands for and everything he says. If you've seen his Twitter account, he tweets like a normal person. Like, he literally posts what he's having for his dinner and uploads it. It's just like...
Well, that's the thing, isn't it? Everyone is human, and that part of their lives that we hate so much is just a part of their lives. They're also eating and drinking, and he's probably got like a family that he loves and all that. So it is
you forget that, but there's something comical about someone being that evil but being so normal. It's mad. But
how did he like go from like kissing his kids on the forehead to like wanting to wish other kids dead? It doesn't make any sense, does it? Like, it's a bit, just that juxtaposition is mental.
Yeah, but he doesn't stand for anything to do with Islam. I've got a lot of Muslim friends, that I've met through work and just growing up, and it preaches peace, doesn't it? Most religion, all religions do, don't they? It's just their minorities, but
you just use those bits. If you got political aims and agendas, you use the bits in the religion that will like help you like convince other people about your political aims. That's all it is. Yeah,
I'm a Christian, but I love listening about, love learning about other religions and stuff. It's interesting.
Where
It's just.
Where did you grow up?
I grew up in Tamworth, but I live in Burton now.
Okay.
Yeah, which is by Derby, it's near Nottingham. You've probably not heard of it.
What's the town called again?
Burton.
Yeah, I know, Burton on Trent, bro. I know it.
Yeah. That's me.
Burton Albion.
Yeah, you're a football fan.
Come on, man. Yeah, man, black and roll, isn't it, for my sins?
Damien Duff, loved him growing up.
Bro, he was so good, man.
He was so good. He was so good. Do you play Xbox or anything or PlayStation?
No, man. I was when I was younger, I was on like the Commodore 64 and the Mega Drive, and then as soon as it went from platform to 3D, I just kind of I wasn't competent enough at it, and then I kind of lost the love for it, and then I haven't really played much since. Like I had a couple of games of FIFA at uni, but I haven't played computer games for like a long time. Like if I'm playing GTA, I don't do any of the missions. Like I just go around like
driving around shooting.
Carnage. And that's only when my little brothers are playing. So like, I haven't been a gamer since the 90s.
Yeah. So basically, there's a game called FIFA. You've probably heard of that, and its rival football game called Pro Evolution Soccer. Yeah, Pez. And that. Yeah. So that's the best one for gameplay. But obviously, FIFA's it's all licensed, registered, and it's it's commercial and that. But they do this thing called when you're online, you remember when you used to buy football stickers when you was a kid?
Yeah.
And so basically, what you can do is you can buy them on the game, and it's like virtual stickers. And if you they do Legends Edition, so basically you can get like Henri, Zidane, Giggs, Scholes, all that. And if you get them, you can put them in your team and you can play with them. And they've put Damien Duff on, and I think I've spent about 40 quid on packs trying to get him, but I can't.
He was legendary, man. That little team we had back then, David Dunn, Matt Jansen, Damien Duff, two guy, it was good. Man.
Oh, two guy, yeah, I remember him.
It was a good little team, man.
Yeah. What? I don't really follow football anymore, but how are Blackburn doing?
We're in the Championship, which is obviously the level below the Premier League.
Yeah.
And we're kind of mid-table. I mean, if the season carried on, we're only 3 points behind the playoffs, so we could have snuck in. I don't know, to be honest, if we would have been ready for promotion. I think if we got promoted somehow, we would have got hammered next season. But I don't know what's going to happen now in the football season. But as it is, I don't know whether they're going to cancel it or how they're going to end up playing it, whatever. So I don't know what's going to happen. Man.
Yeah, it's mad how football's always been there, hasn't it? And now it's just not there. So even for someone like me, who doesn't follow it, it's not there to hear about or watch if I want to. But yeah, it's just weird. It's like, how's it when it comes back out? Where's it all going to start off from? Like, do you know what I mean? Do you start where you left off?
I know, man. It's mad.
It is. It's nothing like that's ever happened before. But yeah, so it's the month of Ramadan for you right now.
Yeah, man.
Yeah, there's only 3 days left, is it?
Yeah, man. We're right at the end. It's the home stretch.
Yeah. So how are you finding that? Because I can't go 3 hours without food. So I respect anyone who can go a long period of time.
You know what, bro? I'm like in my 30s now, so I've been doing this for like, the better part of like 20 odd years or whatever. So for me, it's longer than that, like 25 years or whatever. But like, so for me, I've been doing this virtually my whole life. So as soon as Ramadan kicks in, there's this like a mindset shift, and you're like, right, it's Ramadan, and then your mind kicks into gear, and you're like, right, this is what I do now. And it's so weird how in a couple of days your mind just tells your body, and then you just get used to it. And obviously, if you have that faith that you're doing it for a particular reason and you're doing it for God, then that obviously motivates you as well. Obviously, it's harder in the summer than it is in the winter. When I was growing up, it was in the winter months. So literally, I was missing lunch, and then by 4 p.m. the sun had set, so I could eat again. And so I got used to doing it. So as it got pushed back into the summer and it became harder, I got more used to doing them, and I was a bit older, so I could handle it.
Yeah.
I reckon it's a bit harder for kids who are growing up. Like, if you were like 12, 13, when the fasts were in June, that I think would have been hard. But then, if you don't fast when you're young, I think you'd find it harder to try and get into it when you're an adult. So, yeah, I feel sorry for that generation who would stop fasting or they just started fasting when it was like June, July, when it was like the really long days and the hot summers.
Yeah.
But yeah, this year's not been too bad, man. Like personally, I like it. I like to be busier when I'm fasting. Like I like to be out and about, but at the same time, it's been really nice to have a whole Ramadan at home, a whole fasting period at home, because that hasn't happened for years and years and years. Like sometimes I have to break my fast on stage because that's the time that you get like 8, 9 in the evening. So it's just been nice to be able to be at home and not have to worry about like driving to a gig or what am I going to do for food later on this evening or whatever because I'm at home.
Yeah, it's got to be tough. Because I've done fasting for like, when I've been training, I've either done it for losing weight or gaining weight, doing various diets, but my mood and energy was horrendous. I guess it's different, like you said, like when you're used to it and everything. But I just did it. Well, I've tried it a few times, and it was just my sleep was bad as well. You know.
Yeah, I guess when you have like faith as a motivating factor, it becomes a different thing, right? Whereas I've had intermittent fasting for like like a diet or like for training or whatever, and I found that harder than doing Ramadan fasting because that same level of motivation and that faith factor isn't there.
Yeah. So it's obviously motivation, isn't it? And what are the benefits of it? Like, do you feel? I know a lot of my friends say they feel, they feel like cleansed sort of thing.
Yeah, I mean, if you're doing it for the reasons of like, oh, I've got faith in God and I'm trying to please God and stuff. So you get all of that benefit. And fasting is more than just not eating or drinking. It's also about abstaining from other worldly desires. Abstaining from sexual relations with your missus during the fasting hours.
Yeah.
And trying to be better in terms of like not swearing, not backbiting, not talking to people's backs, and all those little bad habits, little white lies that creep in over the year. You try and cut them all out, and so that you hope that over the 4 weeks, over the 30 days, that you're trying to cut all those bad habits out, and you're trying to cultivate good habits, and you hope that then once Ramadan is over, you can carry on those good habits into your normal life. And so a lot of people do come out of it quite energized and feeling quite positive and more charitable and all those things. So yeah, man, it's great.
Yeah, I suppose you appreciate everything a lot more when you come out of it as well. And then off the back of that, it's Eid.
Yeah. So then Eid starts. It'll be on Saturday or Sunday this year, won't it? So we have Eid, and then that's a massive. Ordinarily, it's a massive celebration. Where we go to the mosque in the morning to pray, and then you got your family, you wear new clothes and put on some new perfume or whatever, and then you go see your family and friends, and you eat lots of meals. You like 4 big meals like at different people's houses, and you give money and presents to kids. It's brilliant, man. So, but that's going to be super hard this year because also because of the lockdown, there's going to be no mosque, so there's going to be no morning prayer for Eid, and we're all locked off, man. So, like, immediate family might go see each other because they're kind of, they've been locked down together or whatever. But we're not going to see wider family and stuff. So that's going to be really difficult.
Yeah, I was going to ask you about that. If mosques are still open.
No, mosques have been closed since the lockdown, and because if a mosque was open, like that's going to be like a zone where it's going to spread very quickly, isn't it? Cause
hotspot.
Hotspot. So because we pray close together and stuff, and so it would easily jump from person to person. So that was really important. As painful as it is, to close the mosques is a really, really important step to help fight the virus. And yeah, man, the Muslim community came through. As painful as it was, we did what we needed to do.
Yeah, it'd be worth it when we come out of this. Everyone's definitely going to appreciate things a lot more. I am. Little things like going to the barbers. I don't need a haircut. Tez, you see me. I look like a caveman.
Well, snap! I was just gonna say I bought a trimmer just to help manage it. Like there's no Turkish barber thing in it, but just a trimmer to help manage it, man, so it looks manageable. Because, bro, like 4 weeks in, I was looking like Robin Williams in Jumanji. Like when he comes out of Jumanji, I was looking at that, and I was like, you know what? I'm doing enough TV and stuff that I need to sort this out, so I don't look this bad. So I bought a little trimmer and I got myself sorted out. So I'll have a little trim just before Eid. So I'll do the things like I'll trim before Eid, wear the nice clothes and stuff. But yeah, it's definitely not going to be the same.
Yeah, when Eid comes and you're having your food and you're eating what you eat. Do you find that you can't eat as much? Because when I've fasted, even just for like 3-4 days, I find my stomach shrunk and I can't intake as much.
Yeah, definitely. That definitely happens. Fasting is a great appetite suppressor. Because you definitely can't eat as much as you'd normally like to.
Yeah.
Or as you normally would. So sometimes on Eid, like your eyes are definitely bigger than your stomach, and you fill your plate up with all this delicious food that's been made, and then you find that you can't finish it because of Ramadan, your stomach's shrunk and stuff. So yeah, that always happens.
Yeah, but the food is good. I've worked and supplied security to Muslim and Sikh weddings. And the food, they always feed you and look after you. And man, the food,
it's the next level.
Yeah, the spicy fish.
Oh. I'm fasting, but don't start.
Oh yeah, sorry.
But I know what you mean, man. That spicy fish, bro. And the pilau, like, oh man, I can't get enough of it.
Yeah, I love that. I love that. The weddings are crazy, aren't they? Like I've never seen nothing like it in my life.
Yeah, man. Man. We don't do things by hour.
Yeah, it's good.
Yeah, man. They get people out. They get like what is it, like 1,000? Well, not 1,000. Maybe like 500 plus guests and stuff. It is mad.
Yeah, and that's a small one.
yeah, that would be small.
But yeah, they are
That
good.
would be small.
Yeah, I just want to chat to you as well about mental health and stuff. I know I do a lot of speaking, and I'm always in the papers and on social media for like things that I do and that. So I just want to know what you think about it. Do you have, do you do any work, mental health work, or do you have any opinions on it? Is it something you've?
Yeah, obviously it's a huge thing, and I think we're learning more and more about it, and there's becoming increasing awareness about it, which is so important because I think, especially with men, mental health is something that we don't really talk about or like talking about because it makes us feel weak. But it shouldn't, because the brain is a muscle, it's an organ in your body.
Yeah.
It can be just as easily injured as anything else. If you pull the muscle in your leg, or if you broke a bone in your arm, you'd go to the doctor to get that fixed and get that attended to, and you take the pain medication that you needed to get better.
Yeah.
So there shouldn't be any different for the brain. If your brain needs healing, just because you can't see it doesn't mean doesn't mean the injury isn't there. And so if you've got any sort of depression or mental health issues, then you should definitely go to the doctor and get that seen to. And if they prescribe medication, then have the medication. Man, there's no shame in that. But quite often, because it's a hidden disease, people feel a bit ashamed to talk about it and see it as a sign of weakness. And to be honest, I'm learning a lot about it because in the comedy circuit, a lot of my colleagues suffer from depression and mental health issues, and it wasn't something that I'd considered before I got into comedy, to be honest. I was a bit ignorant to it all, so I'm learning a lot about it, and there's a lot more people than you'd think who suffer from one thing or another. So I think it's really important, and it's great that you're doing the work that you do to help destigmatise the issue.
Yeah, thank you, appreciate that. But I'm a big believer in antidepressants. I know they are, like you said, they've got a lot of stigma attached to them. But the thing is, like you said as well, if you had cancer, you would treat it. If you had a virus, you would treat it. If you had an infection, you would treat it. So when you're suffering with depression, you're ill. And in the mind, you're ill in the mind, and the medication is there to treat it. So does the same medication work for everybody? Of course not. But you've got to see which one works for you. But I definitely wouldn't be who and where I am now without it, and that's a fact.
That's important, man. You're a role model for a whole generation of men that need to look after themselves better, man. And because you're a guy who's training, who does strongman activities and stuff. And it's important for, I think, men to see people like you being open and talking about these things. And I know a lot of athletes are now coming forward as well and talking about their struggles with depression. And those things are so important because people in the public eye are role models. And if everyday people can see the struggles that they're going through and they're being open about it, then hopefully they will be able to get the help that they need as well, and not be shy about going to the doctor or talking to their friends about and opening up about their struggles. Yeah,
definitely, mate, definitely. It's crazy how much mental health is spoken about now. It's like, it's great, but it's crazy because nobody ever used to talk about it, and I don't know if it's getting worse or more people are coming out about it, but do you know what I mean? It's like you hear it all the time now.
Yeah, which is great, but I think it's definitely part of it is the awareness about it has been huge, and there's a lot of women who talk about their struggles with their mental health and stuff as well. So I think that's inspired people to come forward and not be shy talking about their own struggles. So I think there's a lot of people that you can thank that have done a lot of work in this area to help raise awareness. That's allowed then other people to step forward and be like, oh yeah, you know what? I'm suffering from that as well, and let's talk about it, and let's talk about suicide rates in men and stuff, because it's something that you need to get a handle on.
Yeah, and you do feel better when you talk about it. Speaking from personal experience, when you talk about it, it's like a weight off your chest, and especially if someone else talks about it with you, you're like, oh, do you know what? I'm not alone, because that's one of its spells that it likes to cast on you, is for making you feel alone. So that definitely helps. But there's been a spike in suicide rates, since the lockdown.
That's really sad, man.
Yeah, I think it's something. It's like 8%. It's something like that. You know what I mean? Is it?
I guess yeah, because hospitals have been so inundated with like coronavirus stuff. I guess a lot of services have been cut and cut back on, and probably mental health is probably one of those things that has been cut back on, and people aren't getting the help that they need. They feel like they don't want to reach out for help because they don't want to be a nuisance to the health service. But you know, if you need help, you need help, man. There's no you need to call someone and then make sure you get the help that you need, because there's no point suffering in silence.
Yeah, that's how I feel about it. Do you know what I mean? As if life wasn't challenging enough, battling your own mind every day. You've now literally got to stay in your house with your depression and potentially added stress of no work, no income. Who's going to pay the bills? Who's going to put food on the table? And for the people who rely on getting out as well and being active to deal with their illness, that's just been taken away. It's not an option now. So yeah. As soon as this shit's over, the better, man. But at the same time, this has got to be done.
It's got to be done. We've got to look after ourselves, because otherwise we'd overwhelm the NHS, and no one wants that, and things would be then even worse, because then it would take even longer to get help, because it would take longer to come out of lockdown. So yeah, man, we got to suffer in the short term for hopefully to make it good in the long term.
Yeah, and hopefully everyone's back to doing what they love and doing what they want. I said I wouldn't keep you too much over 30 minutes, so I won't. But I need to ask you this. I know you're not going to be in it, but is there going to be a season 4?
No, we don't know. That's the honest truth. People ask me that all the time, and it's one of the biggest questions that people want to know. But to be honest, bro, I don't know, innit? That's the God's honest truth. So unfortunately, I cannot tell you.
Oh, you're no good, are you? I wanted to know.
No, man.
It is such a, and you know, because it's only up the road as well from me, Birmingham as well, and you know, I think because it's an Asian thing as well. There's not too many Asian comedies or series or dramas, or there's a few more than there used to be, but you don't. But this is fucking funny, man.
Well, yeah, man. That's it, man. We appreciate how much it means to people, and even like people, you know, people within the community and people like yourself who are not part of the community, because. Funny is funny, man. It's still the British sense of humour is universal across communities.
Yeah.
And this show is the proof of that.
Did you expect the response it was going to get? Because it is massive.
You never know, man. Because when we were doing it, it felt really good. Like, you know, we were making each other laugh, and we felt like it could be something really special. But then, truth be told, you don't know, because you can't predict these things. But we loved it, man. The reaction has been so amazing, and. People from all, because it's on Netflix, people from all over the world reach out to us and tell us how much they enjoy it. So it just means so much to us, man. Yeah,
there's a couple of. It's always good to see like familiar, famous faces. You know, yourself was in it. JK had a bit of a role, didn't he?
Yeah, man. JK was in there. So we obviously want to celebrate British artists, man, wherever they come from.
Yeah, that's.
And whatever they're involved in.
Yeah. So was you in the middle of filming anything, or was you before the lockdown? That's obviously just been cut off, or.
Yeah, well, I did gigs all the time, so I do gigs like 3-4 times a week. Obviously, they've been knocked on the head, all the comedy club gigs.
Yeah.
And then aside from that, I had a couple of little filmy bits that were scheduled in, but they've obviously had to be rescheduled. But there wasn't like a big films, like there wasn't like a production thing that I was doing.
Yeah.
So I got quite lucky. I know like some TV shows got completely shut down because obviously, you know, they can't carry on because of the virus and stuff. So they're gonna have to look at how and when they're gonna start up again. So yeah, I mean it's a huge thing.
Yeah. So we just got to ride it out. Keep watching Netflix. Keep playing Xbox. Keep just whatever to keep the spirits high.
Keep on keeping on, innit?
Keep the spirits high like wine on a top shelf. That's what it is. So yeah, I appreciate you talking to me today, bro.
No worries, man. Thank
yeah,
you
and
for the chat, man. It's been fun.
Yeah, it's been fun. Hopefully it's passed some time, and hopefully the people listening enjoy it. But yeah, hope you have a good Eid, and eat lots and lots of food, and eat some spicy fish for me.
Nice one, bro. I will do. Cheers, bro.
Cheers, bro. See you in a bit.
Thank you, bro. Bye.
Bye.